Hello and welcome to livealittlehigher.com. This week we go with Parashah Terumah, and Parashah Terumah means donation. Terumah means to donate, and it refers to the building of the tabernacle in the desert where God instructed Moshe Rabbeinu how to build this edifice that was like a Lego, which was assembled and disassembled, and it used to travel with the Jewish people through the desert 40 years. It came later into Israel, the land of Israel, and it was put in Shiloh, and then eventually it was put somewhere else, but eventually it was replaced by the first Beit HaMikdash, the first temple, by King Solomon, was built by King Solomon, and then later on, after the destruction, 70 years later, we had the second temple. So since then, we don't have, let's say, a house of God that is present in our midst. And Hashem said to the Jewish people, build me a sanctuary so I can dwell in your midst, or in you. And what this really means is that the sanctuary, this tabernacle, was a home for Hashem. This was the intention of building this sanctuary. It was to build a place where the revelation of God was obvious, it was felt, people could connect to Hashem much easier, having the temple and the tabernacle and eventually the temples. It was easier for the people to have Hashem in their heads 24 hours a day, and we see that this thing that it says, make me a sanctuary so I can dwell within you, in reality, it was not the house that was a house of God, but the actual building of this tabernacle, and later on fulfilling the mitzvot that went through the tabernacle, like lighting the menorah, the sacrifices that were made in the altar, having the shulchan, the table that was with the 12 loaves of bread, and all the services that were done in this tabernacle was actually connected us to being this home for Hashem. So there's the million-dollar question of why are we in this world? What's the point? What's the whole purpose of us coming down here? And it says that the Talmud states simply and succinctly, I was created to serve my Creator. So this is the answer the Talmud gives us. It gives us an answer that you came into this world to serve Hashem, you're His servant, and this is why you come here. And then we have the works of the Musar, which describe the purpose of life as the refinement of one's character traits, and we were always trying to become better people and refine our midot, our character traits. And the Zohar says that God created us in order that His creation should know Him. So another reason is for us to come into this world and learn Torah and get to know Hashem. And then the Arizal, the master Rabbi Isaac Luria, offered the following reason for creation. And he said, God is the essence of good, and the nature of good is to bestow goodness. But goodness cannot be bestowed when there is no one to receive it. And to this end, God created our world so that there should be recipients of His goodness. And then comes the Hasidic teachings, and this is a Siha of the Rebbe, of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, where they give us these reasons, as well as the reason given by the Kabbalists and philosophical works, are but the various phases of a singular desire, divine desire for creation, as expressed in various worlds or realms of God's creation. But Hasidism also offers a different formulation, which it grabs to this idea that it's given in the Torah, in this parasha, that Hashem asks us to make a home for Him in this material world, so He can dwell in our midst. So what is a home for Hashem? What does it mean that we build a home for God in our world, in our lives today? How do we do this? And so it says that a basic tenet of our faith is that the entire world is filled with His presence. Like there's no place devoid of Hashem. He's here, He's there, He's everywhere. So why do we have to build a home for Him if the whole world is His home? And so he says that God can be in the world without being at home in it. So what does it mean to be at home? Really, to be at home is that you're in a place that you feel comfortable in that place, that you feel you belong in this place. It's a place where you feel that your needs are being met. It's a place where you have comfort. And so a person can live in a place, but he might not feel all these feelings. Like I'm in my cocoon, I'm in a safe place, I'm in a place where I'm loved and nourished. So the material world in its natural state is not the best environment for Hashem. Actually, He created the material world, He created the whole world, but the creation of the material world comes from His back. It's called the Sitra Achra. It comes from His back, and He creates all this material world, not because He wants it. He actually doesn't want it, He doesn't need it, but He created it so we can have free will, so we can choose to serve Him, to use the material world to elevate the material world and make it a place where Hashem feels comfortable. So it says here that that it is one of the common features to all material existence is that in nature the material existence is egocentric. It's always calling attention to itself and the replacement of the self as the foundation and purpose of existence. So with every iota of its mass, the stone proclaims, I am. In the tree and in the animal, the preservation and propagation of self is the focus of every instinct and aim of every achievement. So the world at large is a self-centered world. The animal is not thinking about being kind to you. He's actually only thinking about fulfilling his needs, which are in nature instincts, his instincts. It's not that he's bad or he's good. It's just that he's an instinctive animal. If the lion is hungry and you're going through, he's gonna grab you and eat you. So, but the human being has a higher elevated ambition, and we have the ideal of being altruistic and living outside of our realm and doing something higher, bigger than ourselves, to be able to reach up to the stars. And the only thing wrong with the selfishness is that it blurs the truth of what lies behind it. So the material world in the Jewish perspective is not something that we have to get rid of. It's not something that we have to... Sorry, I thought I disconnected the camera. It's not something that we have to get rid of. It's actually something that we have to elevate. Most of the creation is there for us to be able to elevate it. So everything, and especially for a Jew, anything that is permissible for a Jew, the food that we're able to eat, the clothes that we're able to wear, the cars that you can afford, the money that you have, everything that is permissible for us is not an end to a mean. It's a means to an end. It's meant to take us to that place of relationship with Hashem and creating a receptive world for Him. So he says, the Rebbe, that to make our world a home for God, we must transform its very nature. It needs to be transformed, and we must recast the very foundations of its identity from a self-oriented entity, like, what is this thing gonna give me? How am I gonna get pleasure from this? Into something that exists for a higher purpose that is greater than itself. So for example, you go and you buy a beautiful china. You go into the store and you buy a beautiful china, right? I need china, I want beautiful china. So this china it's not good or bad. part of the creation of the material, which is the back of Hashem. It falls into the category called klipa noga. Klipa means a husk, like a shell, and it's not good or bad, it's just whatever you make it to be. So if a Jew brings this beautiful china into their home, and they're cooking things that are not conducive for a Jew, like shrimps and pork, and mixing milk and meat, and they're using these dishes, and they're using this china for this, then you're degrading the reason of existence of this china, which really was meant to be elevated in the way that you're going to use it for kosher food. You're going to decide if you use it for milk or for meat, and if it's very special china, you're going to put it apart, and you're only going to use it on Shabbat or on the Yom Tov, in the holidays. And in this way, this material thing that is not good or bad suddenly is transformed into a godly, a spiritual entity, which is used to house Hashem in your home. This is the whole purpose. So when we take a piece of leather, for example, and we make a pair of tefillin out of it, or when we take $1 out of our pocket and we give it to charity, to tzedakah. Actually, in Hebrew, the word for charity is not charity, it's tzedakah, which in the Hebrew language, charity doesn't exist. This is not a word we use. It doesn't exist. We have either acts of love and kindness, masim tovim, or we have tzedakah. So tzedakah comes from the word tzedek, which means justice. So tzedakah, when you're giving money to someone that doesn't have money, really it's justice. You're being just. So when we employ our minds to study, for example, a chapter of Torah, right now we're learning Torah, we're effecting such a transformation. So in its initial state, the piece of leather proclaims, I exist, I exist. Now it says, I exist to serve my Creator. When a man puts on the tefillin, $1 that you have in your pocket, it's going to be proclaiming, oh, I exist for my benefit. Greed is good. But when you take it out and you give it to someone that needs it, then the money is saying, I was born to give. And the human brain says, enrich thyself. The brain studying Torah, for example, a person could say, oh no, I want knowledge, I want to be a learned person, I want to know more than anybody else, I want to look in the eyes of other people as an intelligent human being. But when you go one step higher and you're learning Torah, Leshem Shemaim, for the sake of heaven, then what you're saying is, I want to know God. So this is the two ways to live. One is either an egocentrical life, that it's about you and your feelings and your pleasure, or you're living a life in which you're actually housing Hashem, where everything you do, really Hashem is in the picture. He's in the first one in the picture. So at first glance, it would seem that the second step is more significant one, while the first step is merely an enabler of the second, a means to its end. But the Torah's account of the first home that was built for God in the world takes super precedence. The Torah itself has many portions. I think, if I'm not wrong, it's like 13 portions of the Torah are dedicated to the building of the Mishkan in the desert. Actually, it's here. It says that it's 13 portions are devoted to the construction of the Mishkan. There's one chapter to the creation of the universe in the book of Genesis. There's 3 portions to its description of the revelation of Mount Sinai, and 11 portions to the story of the Exodus. So imagine, the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, dedicate 13 portions of the Torah to the building of the Mishkan. And so the sanctuary is the model and prototype for all subsequent homes for Hashem that were constructed in the physical earth, like all the synagogues, all yeshivas, Jewish homes by themselves. And so it takes a precedence, an overwhelming emphasis on the construction more than on the using of the vessels. So from here we learn that the construction implies that there's something very special when we're building ourselves. And the whole purpose here, what Hashem is trying to teach us, because he doesn't use more words than necessary when he's going to talk about something in the Torah. Hashem is very precise. He doesn't use more words than necessary. He uses exactly the amount of words that are necessary to impart a message. Here it's overwhelmingly, if you look at the 5 books of Moses, he really is super focused on the construction of the tabernacle. So what it's teaching us here, and this is a lesson for all of us, is that the true purpose of life, the true purpose of being in this world actually is the building. It's the building the world. And this is where the transformation happens. Hashem wants us to transform the world from being a self-oriented world into something greater than itself. That everything in the world takes a higher stage in the world, in the eyes of every person, where my home is not the place where I come after work and take off my shoes and put on a Netflix or the news, or I just relax. This is not what Hashem intended for a home. A home is a place where you come and you have a beautiful library with Torah books. It's a place where you walk in and you kiss a mezuzah. It's a place where you walk in, you have a kosher kitchen. It's a place where you have a big dining room table where you invite people for Shabbat or for Shiurim or for any Yom Tov. It's a place where you make Hashem real. It's a place where Hashem feels comfortable. And what God desired was the transformation. This is what He wants. The challenge and achievement of selfhood, transcendent and materiality redefined. And this transformation and redefinition occurs in the first stage, when something material is forged into the instrument of the divine. And the second stage is only a matter of actualizing it, establish potential, but putting a thing to its now natural use. So the whole purpose of us being in this world is really to make Hashem a part of our lives, that we become receptive to godliness, that we think about Him, that we go through our lives going like, okay, what does the Halacha say? What the Jewish law says here? What is the right thing to do? Not what I feel, not what you feel. It's about what is right to do. Today we're living in a world that's very, very feely, touchy world, where people are very focused on their feelings and do what I feel, do what makes you feel good. And in reality, yes, it's important to feel good. I'm not saying it's not, but the way that you're going to feel your best is when you're doing what is right in the eyes of Hashem. So to finish off, the entire Mishkan tabernacle was built out of the people's donations. Only once it was built did God respond by manifesting His presence within it and within the people's souls. So here, when they were building the Mishkan, was actually money, their jewels, their gold, their silver, their possessions. They were giving their possessions, their physical possessions. But here, what it's saying is that also it represents giving ourselves into Hashem, giving our lives to God, not only with money, but with time, with our thoughts, with our words, with our deeds. And it means that that when we're doing this, we lay the ground for Him to respond by filling our lives and souls. And this is what it's meant by making the world into God's ultimate home. So when you make Hashem a home for Him in this world, He's going to make a home for you in the world to come. So we have to be very, very busy building a home for him here. When you do things, ask yourself, is God comfortable here? Is this a place where he's comfortable? And if the answer is no, like, okay, then think it twice. So I want to wish you a Rosh Chodesh Tov. We're entering into the month of Adar. It's the happiest month of the year. And that we should serve Hashem with joy. That everything we do with joy. And in that way, you will live a little higher. Thank you.